Anya Parampel is with us. She's a journalist based in Washington, D.C. and a contributor to The Gray Zone. She's produced and reported several documentaries, including on-the-ground reports from the Korean Peninsula, Palestine, Venezuela, and Honduras. Please welcome Anya Parampel. Hello. How are you?
Hey, Kurt. Hey, Jimmy.
Hey.
Good to see you. Stephanie, say hello.
Hello,
Hi,
Anya.
Okay, Steph is also here.
I gotta say, if what I saw in LA was any indication, the special's gonna be great.
Oh, that's very sweet. Yes, that was an indication. It was an indication.
Hey, Anya, can you come a little
I thought
closer
you
to
did
the
a different
camera?
show every night.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Look at you, girl.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
stay close to the camera. You're so smart. Thank you.
Okay, so you asked me if I was going to cover the I can't even. What's the lady's name that did the testimony?
Cassidy Hutchinson?
That's it. So you texted me today. So you're going to cover this?
I thought she was sainted. Now we all must know her name.
Oh,
I went to the comedy club in Burbank last night over at Flappers, and there were people talking about this. Like, hey, did you see that testimony from the thing? I'm like, no, I don't follow the January 6th. They're like, how could you not follow that? I'm like, because it's all bullshit. And they're like, no, his own blah, blah, blah said that he was choking his own driver. And so, all right, so I looked into this. So I went and I got the video of that woman's testimony. And what's her name?
Cassidy.
Cassidy what?
Cassidy Hutchinson. Cassidy Hutchinson.
Cassidy Hutchinson. And I thought it was interesting. They had a commercial that ran in front of it. And of course, it just reminds you you're in America because everything is sponsored, right?
So live from Washington, D.C. It's a Capital 4, Monday, July 4th, 8/7 Central. Sponsored by the Boeing Company and American Airlines.
That's right. That's right. Sponsored by the good people at Boeing.
I will say it's a mean fireworks show, though.
Yeah, I bet.
Capital.
Yes, I would like to go. Where else would the United States of America get the money for a fireworks show unless it was sponsored by the good people at Boeing?
Pfizer, I guess.
I'd probably get it from Pfizer.
Hey, that's the Ukraine money at work.
So so here we go. So let's watch this testimony. Liz Cheney is chairing this. She's fantastic. I think she should be president. And she's pro-torture, which is what it makes. You need to be. You got to be
whispering it.
You got to be pro-torture if you're going to be president. So here's what she said happened, right? Here's what she said happened. Here we go.
Here's the president's motorcade leaving the ellipse after his speech.
So there's the president.
6th.
He's leaving. Let's speed it up. Go ahead. Go faster. So there's the president. He's leaving. And now listen to the story Cassidy Hutchinson's going to tell about what happened.
When you returned to the White House in the motorcade after the president's speech, where did you go?
When I returned to the White House, I walked upstairs towards the Chief of Staff's office, and I noticed Mr. Renato lingering outside of the office. Once we had made eye contact, he quickly waved me to go into his office, which was just across the hall from mine. When I went in, he shut the door, and I noticed Bobby Engel, who is the head of...
When she said that, I thought we're in for a Matt Lauer moment.
Yeah, it's a Me Too moment.
Yeah, I was like, when he shut the door, I was like, oh no!
He had a button under his desk. And
Mr. Trump's security detail, sitting in a chair, just looking somewhat discombobulated and a little lost. I looked at Tony, and he had said, "Did you effing hear what happened in the Beast?" I said, "No, Tony, I just got back."
Why did
The Beast is the presidential limo, by the way.
Yeah. So she says, "Did you effing hear?" Why did you have to put effing in? Like, who cares if he swore?
Like,
Yeah, no
did
kidding.
You effing hear what happened?
Did you
she does
effing
that a
hear what
lot.
happened in the Beast? First of all,
it's a very ASMR testimony, by the way.
Very, very good way to put it. Here we go.
I went across the hall.
Yeah, she's very breathy with her speech, right? Okay, here we go.
What happened?
What happened?
Tony proceeded to tell me that when the president got in the Beast, he was under the impression from Mr. Meadows that the off-the-record movement to the Capitol was still possible and likely to happen, but that Bobby had more information. So once the president had gotten into the vehicle with Bobby, he thought that they were going up to the Capitol, and when Bobby had relayed to him, "We're not, we don't have the assets to do it, it's not secure, we're going back to the West Wing," the president had very strong, a very angry response to that.
She starts smiling when she says
everything. Yeah, I mean, just look at her face.
Why is she smiling when he had a
Is it the face of an honest person? Is she behaving like she's telling the truth?
No, she seems like an actress. She seems like she's acting 100%.
No, that's an insult. You know, I watch some of those American crime story shows where they do the dramatic court scenes, the reenactments, like those people do much better. The actors in those shows do much better.
So here we go. She's got more to say. She's going to tell you what the president did as she giggles. And she's looking down to the left, which some people say is a sign she's lying.
Tony described him as being irate. The president said something to the effect of, "I'm the effing president. Take me up to the Capitol now." To which Bobby responded, "Sir, we have to go back to the West Wing." The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, "Sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol." Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel. And when Mr. Ornato had recounted this story to me, he had motioned towards his clavicles.
His clavicles?
His clavicles.
And was Mr. Engel in the room
that
as
a
Mr.
euphemism?
Ornato told you this story?
He was.
Hey, why don't you get off my clavicle? This guy's been busting my clavicle
All day.
all goddamn day. Why don't you suck on some clavicle? I got something for you. How about some clavicle? I got something for you right there. What's that? My clavicle.
He motioned. He pressed a button and locked his dressing room door and motioned towards his clavicle.
Did Mr. Engel correct or disagree with any part of the story from Mr. Ornato?
Mr. Engel did not correct or disagree with any part of the story.
He did not.
Did Mr. Engel or Mr. Ornato ever after that
No.
tell you that what Mr. Ornato had just said was untrue?
Neither Mr. Ornato nor Mr. Engel
No.
told me ever that it was untrue.
So they told her this. So by the way, this isn't her test. She's not giving you eyewitness testimony. She's telling you a story she heard from someone else, and it's not accurate.
When is that ever the standard for witness testimony? Oh, this is what my friend told me.
The Elon Musk allegations.
That's right. Same thing with Elon Musk. It was not the girl who was allegedly sexually harassed by him, but a friend of the woman who was sexually harassed by him. And that's not credible, nor is this. This is not credible. Why? Because she's not giving you eyewitness testimony. She's telling you a story someone else told her. And now, by the way, those people that told her that story are disagreeing with her version of it. So here we go. Let's listen to more. You want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, are you telling me that nobody reached for that guy's clavicles?
No, nobody.
Are you sure? She
Here we
seemed
go.
positive. Oh,
So that's it. So that was the end of it. So that's the end of the part I'm going to play right now. But so everybody's saying that. I go into the comedy club last night. People are beaming. Did you see that testimony? Did you see that? And this is what they're referring to. This is the bombshell. This is called hearsay, gossip. This is a bombshell is not gossip or hearsay.
Didn't we establish that that's as good as evidence now?
I guess that's as good.
A long time ago.
They're already making memes about it. Of course, he's got the Ukraine flag colors, and they're making a meme about it that it never happened. Why do I know it never happened? Because they never asked the Secret Service their side of the story. The committee, the January 6th committee, they asked her to tell a story she heard from a Secret Service person, but they never contacted the Secret Service person. Why do you think that is? I'll tell you why. Because it's a bullshit. What's that?
How is that a proper committee? You'd think if you collect testimony from someone that's secondhand, the proper next step would be to say, okay, now I'm going to interview that person.
Why would you want to interview the Secret Service, Anya, when you have a young lady who grabs her neck and blinks a lot. I mean, doesn't that say credibility?
Cassidy Hutchinson.
Cassidy Hutchinson. Also, Peter Alexander, by the way, he's the big shot White House reporter from NBC News. He tweeted out this. A source close to the Secret Service tells me both Bobby Engel, the lead agent, and the presidential limousine SUV driver are prepared to testify under oath that neither man was assaulted and that Mr. Trump never lunged for the steering wheel. And then underneath it says, so basically the January 6th committee has nothing on Trump. Yes. Yes. Well, even if they do, I believe all women, so I believe her. Right? Don't you believe her? By the way, here it is. Secret Service agent reportedly willing to testify Trump did not lunge at him. So, senior Secret Service agents are reportedly prepared to testify that Donald Trump did not lunge for the wheel of his vehicle or physically attack the chief of his security detail after his speech near the White House on January 6th, as a former aide said he did in sworn testimony on Tuesday. So, Engel told investigators that he and Trump discussed Trump's desire to go to the Capitol and took different views on the topic. Engel noted that they went back to the White House instead of heading to Capitol Hill. Boy, it's all in the framing, isn't it? Because the guy who actually was there says they discussed different views on the topic, and eventually they landed on heading back to Capitol Hill. I mean, White House instead of Capitol Hill. That's a totally different story than that woman just told. That's a completely different story, isn't it? And that's the guy she claims told her the story. This guy says, so this guy's a law professor. He says, don't be distracted by claims of hearsay. That goes to whether evidence can be admitted in court, not in Congress. Yeah, we don't have any standards in Congress. The key, listen to what he says next, though. The key is that Hutchinson testified under oath. If she was lying, she faces felony charges. The same can't be said for those trying to discredit her testimony. She was lying because the guy said he frickin' didn't do that. And they're willing to testify.
So they're not going to have them testify.
But they're not, they just won't have those guys testify. So they're not going to prosecute her, even though she's lying. Isn't that wild?
Who first of all tells somebody else's story the way she told that story, as if she was going step by step in an eyewitness account?
Yes.
Then I entered to the left. And he proceeded to tell me the story that he had heard, and what I had heard is
I entered and I went to the left, and then he started to tell me a story.
And then they go.
But on the other hand,
Go ahead.
It explains why she was so unconvincing.
Yes.
And she was so flat, and it looked like she was trying to remember and she was laughing. She was trying not to laugh at her own performance because she wasn't telling a firsthand account. So that inauthenticity was on full display just in her body language. But yeah, I mean, if I were a lawyer, I didn't go to law school, but I'm pretty sure that if I were building a case, I would never try to submit evidence based on secondhand testimony.
Yeah.
I think you're all ignoring the fact that she did give specific details, like the clavicle.
She did say clavicle.
She said clavicle, and she said that Trump said effing.
Effing.
So
we got to check this Secret Service guy for 2 clavicles. That'll tell us what the truth is. Did you see she didn't just say no? She goes, did he at this point disagree with the thing that the other man had said? And then she went, no, he did not disagree with the thing. It's just no. You just go, no.
I like that he says, don't be distracted by the claims of hearsay. That's like say, don't be distracted by the fact that juicy gossip isn't actually evidence. Don't let that distract you. What are you, one of those nerds who nitpick science mistakes in Star Wars? Technically, there's no sound in space. Shut up and enjoy the show. Aaron Mate caught this. He tweets out Peter Alexander saying that the Secret Service people are prepared to contradict that woman's testimony. And he says having Russiagate bombshell flashbacks again, because they said this was a bombshell, that woman's testimony. It's not. The Secret Service.
Well,
go ahead.
It's very similar to how throughout Russiagate, we would wake up one morning and suddenly it would be like Colonel Vindman.
Yes.
And Ambassador Yanukovych, like all these people that nobody
ever
knew
heard
who
of.
they were.
Yeah.
No, but suddenly they were like, oh my goodness, these are the most important. It's very similar to that, where suddenly I wasn't even paying attention to the news cycle. I just was hearing Cassidy Hutchinson, and it was the same. Aaron, it was a flashback to that.
Yes.
That Russiagate trauma.
Yeah, it's like bombshell, and then you just look at it for 5 seconds and you see all the cracks in their story, and there's no evidence. And that's exactly what happened here. It's a big juicy story, and then as soon as you look at it, it falls apart. There's nothing to it, and there's no evidence. Aaron Mate, but what he connects to here, so he shows this is debunking the bombshell, and then here's Democracy Now! Repeating it. So this is because Aaron used to work at Democracy Now! And Aaron, it's especially acute, the pain he feels when he sees Democracy Now! Being so shitty. And Amy Goodman and Democracy Now! Has been bent on misreporting foreign policy as hard as they possibly can, and stuff like this. So if it has anything to do with Trump, Democracy Now! Is going to on purpose mislead their own viewers, which is what they did with Russiagate, which is what they did with Syria. And Amy Goodman and Democracy Now! Won't even have Aaron Mate on. That's how bad. So they got somehow compromised over at Democracy Now! And you decide which donor did it. But this is garbage again, and he's pointing it out. And tip of the hat to Aaron Mate. Liz Cheney, the case for prosecuting Donald Trump just got much stronger. So she's already tweeting it out.
She's campaigning for presidency.
She's doing
That's
something.
all she's doing.
Oh my goodness.
The case for prosecuting Donald Trump just got much stronger. Yeah, new testimony may have produced a smoking gun. May have. It may not.
If true, it will really be a
Big if true. Big if true.
As we heard yesterday, White House counsel Pat Cipollone had significant concerns re Trump's January 6 activities. It's time for Mr. Cipollone to testify on the record. Any concerns he has about the institutional interests of his prior office are outweighed by the need for his testimony. Now, let me ask you this, Anya. Is she suggesting that his lawyer testify against Trump? Is that what she's saying? White House counsel. So that would mean a guy who was acting as a lawyer for Trump. She wants him to come testify against his client. Is that what she's saying?
Which I don't think.
I don't think you can do that legally.
Exactly. Well, apparently standards are different in Congress. I assume that in court you're actually not allowed to do that. But as they all said, don't be distracted by rational thoughts and questions about.
Why is she saying that to him? Because of this story that the what's her name? Chipperson. What's her name?
Cassidy.
Chipperson. Is she relating that to this?
Can't say one or the other. It's Cassidy Hutchinson.
Yeah, two last names. So why wouldn't they just get those guys in the story and not his lawyer? Like, or is this a separate thing they want the lawyer to talk about?
This is probably a separate thing they want the lawyer to talk about.
Oh, okay.
But I just thought that was outrageous that she wants his former lawyer. I thought it was crazy. And you could hear in Liz Cheney's voice that, her the timbre of her father advocating for torture. You can hear it.
Well, that's what's so funny about this. It's going full circle. When we are talking about lying to Congress under oath or lying under oath before the United Nations. I mean, that was the way that the Bush administration sold us war in Iraq. You can imagine Colin Powell standing there with his weapons of mass destruction, claiming that this was definitive proof that we needed to go to war in Iraq. And now you have the spawn of that administration, Liz Cheney, carrying on this legacy of political theater, kind of just designed to, in this case, distract the public, but also behind it is, of course, it's the same. It's exactly an extension of the Russiagate hearings, all designed to delegitimize Trump and cast him as some anomaly within the U.S. state. He's somehow very evil and opposed to like our grand tradition of American exceptionalism.
The irony of Liz Cheney trying to get a former president thrown in jail who isn't her father is the irony is not lost on me. That her father's a much bigger war criminal than Donald Trump. And
criminal, period, yeah.
Just criminal, period.
Do you think that that this is all because like Cheney had her grown so he could do a get out on her and put it, she will one day house his wicked spirit? Like
I'm not following what you're saying. What are you saying?
You didn't see Get Out? Where they transplant the brains? Like she's gonna just be the vessel for Cheney's brain to keep him alive.
Oh, okay. I did see that movie. Is that for Key and Peele guy?
Yeah, Key and Peele.
Yeah. So watch this. So now she tells this story.
That's a good one.
You ready for this story? Watch this. Oh wait, hang on. Why isn't it working? Oh wait. Oh, but I have one more story to tell. But before we get to that, there was also some controversy over in her testimony. She said that she had made a handwritten note. I didn't watch this, but this is what there was controversy about it because I was looking it up and I read this. It said the handwritten note that Cassidy Hutchinson testified was written by her was in fact written by Eric Hirschman on January 6th, said a spokesman for Hirschman. All sources with direct knowledge in law enforcement have and will confirm that it was written by Mr. Hirschman. So I guess she told some big story about how she had written some handwritten note, and turns out that's not true either.
Did the note say try not to laugh?
No, it said sit in your chair.
Yes.
She got her note switched with Biden.
So this is what their response is. While we understand that she and Mr. Hirschman may have the committee's response. While we understand that she and Mr. Hirschman may have differing recollections of who wrote the note. No, she's lying.
This is gaslighting. People can't have different recollections of something. Not everybody's perspective is real.
Yeah.
Obviously, somebody is lying.
She's telling her truth.
I wrote down that note, or someone else did. I'm not sure. What?
Well, you remember it your way, and I'll remember it my way.
Yeah, let's just agree to disagree on who wrote the note.
And here's one more. Goofy thing she says. Ready?
After Mark had returned, I left the office and went down to the dining room, and I noticed that the door was propped open, and the valet was inside the dining room changing the tablecloth off of the dining room table. He motioned for me to come in, and then pointed towards the front of the room near the fireplace mantel and the TV, where I first noticed there was ketchup dripping down the wall, and there's a shattered porcelain plate on the floor. The valet had articulated that the president was extremely angry at the Attorney General's AP interview and had thrown his lunch against the wall, which was causing them to have to clean up. So I grabbed a towel and started wiping the
causing them to have to clean up.
Who talks like that?
Nobody talks like that. Nobody would tell a story if that were something that happened to them.
What? Is this Dante's Inferno? She's being given a tour of all the. Then here's the place of the broken plates. The ketchup is on the walls. Then I was ushered into another room, and I saw.
In the next realm, I saw his clavicle.
And then I heard Donald Trump slam a door. He slammed a door.
I mean, on one hand, I could believe that people who reach this level in government are that weird, but no, really, that's just, you don't talk like that. It's not the way you tell a story.
Well, I just the way she talks is sus. I don't understand what her super low voice is for. I don't know why she has this kind of timbre.
She's had vocal fry.
She has vocal fry. You're right.
He was definitely coached because, as you said, it's very ASMR.
Yes.
Where we're like she's trying to just instill confidence and comfort, but in a very forced way, like in an auto-tuned way. She can't be genuine. I mean, can you imagine if any of these stories were real and they'd happened to her, and you had the chance to sit down and tell the story? Like, wouldn't you be emotional and animated?
I don't think she ever doesn't talk like that personally. I think that's
but she's wearing
seeing it.
But you notice how she's wearing white also, right? So that's conscious. That's a conscious thing. So she wants to, and so why would she do that?
We dress in virgin white and go and tell this.
Right? Because she's going to come spray some false allegations and some bullshit, and they tell her wear white. It makes you look more believable. Okay. Yep. I've experienced that.
Out. He said something to the effect of, he's really ticked off about this. I would stay clear of him for right now. He's really, really ticked off about this right now.
So he threw ketchup against the wall. That's the big thing. Ketchup. What's that?
She said it. She was like, there was ketchup on the wall.
Ketchup.
I
got to tell you, my buddy Nick Murphy, he wins the internet. He said Trump's presidency definitely had its heights and lows. Come on.
Yeah, and
come on.
Considering John Kerry, it's just funny because John Kerry, Obama's Secretary of State, is married in.
That's right.
Family, it's all about the ketchup lobby.
How deep does this thing go?
I
know. So now I'll go back to the comedy club and we'll see what they're saying today. So what other piece of propaganda will the shit libs be excited about? They were beaming. I've never seen them smile bigger. Then they're like, "Did you see the thing? Did you see the testimony? Did you see the testimony?" I'm like, no, I'm not following it. Oh, yeah, he got Trump. Trump tried to choke his driver. And I'm thinking, well, you always say that Trump is a dictator and he tried to overthrow the government. He couldn't even overthrow his own fucking car. He couldn't even get his own driver to do what he wanted. And you guys are telling me to be afraid of this guy? He couldn't even tell his own driver to do what he wanted. And he was the president at the time. So this again, this whole idea of this guy's a dictator. He's the worst thing ever. And they've got to convince you. This is all to convince you that Donald Trump is the worst guy ever. So he can't run again because they're afraid he's going to run again and beat Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton or John Kerry or whatever piece of shit they put up against him.
Or Liz Cheney.
Right.
Maybe it'll either be Cheney Clinton or Clinton Cheney. It's hard to know who's going to wear the pantsuit in that relationship and be the top of the ticket. But definitely, it's going to be a question of the establishment candidate, and what they're afraid of is that they're going to run against Trump again. And so, what's so crazy is that this whole distraction is taking place. It's interesting to analyze, and there are things to say about it if the media would cover it in a fair way. We just did it here. But beyond the distraction, all of this is happening at a time when NATO is convening in Madrid during the height of this insane proxy war in Ukraine. And it's facing a test of legitimacy while the U.S. sanctions that NATO has put in place in order to punish Russia and take this extreme maximum pressure position are backfiring on the U.S. public. I think most Americans yesterday were more concerned with gas prices and the price of their food than they were with the testimony of Cassidy Hutchinson. And that's a direct result of the Biden administration's failed policy that they would have to put up against Trump. And they don't want to do that. At the same time, this abortion ruling, the overturning of Roe v. Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court last week. Trump's base is counting that as a major win for him. They're so invigorated by this. They've taken credit. Trump has taken credit for the fact that Roe v. Wade was overturned because he was able to put the judges that he wanted on the Supreme Court, unlike his predecessor, Barack Obama. And so Trump's base is not concerned with this testimony. They're like, wow, we just overturned Roe v. Wade. Meanwhile, the liberal establishment that has to go up against Trump has created this economic crisis, can't even get their situation straight in Europe. And so it was the perfect distraction. And I'm just interested to see how it all ends up playing out in November.
You know, not since Michael Avenatti have I put more hope in a testimony than Butch Cassidy Hindenburg.
Oh, and the last thing I'll say, which I mentioned this over text earlier, I don't want to be that person, but just if we look at who Cassidy Hutchinson is, media reports all right now, Jezebel, go look it up, they're like, this 25-year-old woman is destroying Trump. I'm sorry, but when I don't know many people in the early 20s who are somehow, she was an aide to Mark Meadows, by the way, Trump's chief of staff. That's how she was in the White House. Apparently when she got the job when she was like 23 years old. And somehow now she's just come forward with this narrative that completely is keeping the January 6th hysteria attacks on Trump alive. It's very odd.
You're saying you don't think that it was, you're saying you don't think she sincerely felt that America needed to hear about this ketchup plate thing? Saying somebody probably ginned this up a little bit?
I don't know who did. I don't even think it's her. I think obviously she has coaches and people behind her.
She doesn't have the voice of anyone who's ever cared about a servant having to clean something up. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's that. Boy, it could have. Is the term nonplussed? I don't think that's the term. Like she seems like so over it. Like she couldn't have a lower register in her voice. Nonchalant. That's it. Yeah. You know, and then.
But also, when you look at her face, there's clearly something going on there because she's suppressing. She looks like she's constantly suppressing this laughter that she can't even take herself seriously.
Yes.
And
she does not. I mean, just watch it again. I encourage people go, and she's just. It's like if you were telling a lie that all of your friends put you up to on TV.
Looks like she's shot up with sodium pentothal.
Yeah.
Well, if she
also, that's a pretty. It's a rough 25. I'll say that much.
I'm not saying that. I can't believe you said that. I think she looks fantastic.
And then the servant said, "Don't go in there. He's really mad."
It was causing them to clean up.
It was causing them.
It was causing them to clean up. Wow. July 3rd, we're doing a live show in Los Angeles, and then we're going to Chicago, Sacramento, San Diego, Bakersfield. See you there. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all our tickets.